Hello everyone and welcome. I actually have a interesting bit of news for you guys, a bit of an exclusive. I just talked to one of my various viewers, a German one, and as some of you know, a German magazine came out recently that had some exclusive information for Total War Warhammer, and he was so kind as to translate it for me and tell me about all the really interesting tidbits. So I'm here to share the information he told me with you guys. Super excited about it. So if you haven't seen it already, you could probably find it on the forums. I'll link to it down in the description below, but note all of the pages are in German. So unless you happen to have someone who speaks it nearby you, you're not going to have a clue of what it's saying. Many of you may have saw the 3 screenshots that accompanied it that confirmed a number of things. But let's start with the most interesting first. One thing some people noticed was that, or you may notice, is that in the second screenshot it shows a raise dead mechanic on the campaign map. And it has 2 resources listed underneath all of the summonable units. Well, what I just found out is that these are the only resources for the vampire counts. Vampire counts currency is not gold. It's actually 2 different things called necromantic power and body count, which sounds so deliciously vampire count and evil, it's just not even funny. So, from what I understand, from what he told me, is that the way you generate these resources is by building up your vampiric influence in an area, or vampiric corruption, and by destroying enemy armies and taking over settlements. As you take over human settlements, obviously you'll take those and actually get full-on building trees, which instead of having like barracks or gold or merchant quarters or any of that, vampire counts instead build mass graveguards and have different tiers of graveguards that I guess allow them to unlock the more powerful forms of the undead. But from what he said, you're actually able to summon undead on the march if you've, obviously if you have good enough corruption in an area. From what I understood, he seemed to infer that whenever you kill a really large army, you're able to immediately start summoning troops from that battlefield. And depending on how many corpses there are and how much necromantic power you have built up, you can actually make higher tier undead from your enemy's corpses, which I thought is a really cool mechanic. Another thing he told me that if you're interested in playing vampire counts, you may find very interesting, is that as a vampire count player, you will have a heavy incentive to go after the dwarves and the greenskins. Taking over enemy Karaks, which, as vampire counts, you can't actually take them over. You can only raid them, so to speak. But you may be asking yourself, if you've been listening so far, well, if I can't, if I don't have money, then what's the point in me raiding an enemy settlement? Because I don't get anything from it. And that's where you'd be wrong. So what you can do is when you raid an enemy settlement that is not human, so Karak, so orc, greenskin, and dwarf locations, you can actually make a mass graveyard in that location. I didn't quite understand if he meant that it would be like in the city itself or if it would just appear next to the city, but from what he's told me, these mass graveyards, you can build them into the Karaks or just around them from those huge fights, and they just give you massive amounts of body count, which is apparently really crucial to how you operate as the vampire counts. But I'm very, very excited to hear that they're not just going with a generic gold thing for the vampire counts, and that there's going to be a truly unique campaign mechanic. Another thing that he told me about that has implications for all 5 playable races is the idea of acquiring non-legendary lord special characters. And so what he was telling me was that when you play as Manfred von Karstein, you start off in Eastern Slovenia in Drakenhof Castle, or Castle Drakenhof. And Western Slovenia, so that province, is owned by a vampire lord named von Kruger. Now, he might have meant von Krieger, which is a vampire count who is alive in the timeline of Total War Warhammer, who showed up in a Gotrek and Felix book and is an amazingly awesome character and was a very powerful vampire lord. So that may be who he had meant, because apparently it was significant, this Von Krieger fellow. And what he told me was that you can actually recruit Von Krieger, or you gain him as an ally with Manfred, by conquering the entirety of Western Sylvania. And he said that apparently this German article said something along the lines of, when you take over a region, so like a full province, you're able to acquire a powerful character or general or agent, something along those lines, who's actually like a named individual. Like he was saying that for the vampire accounts, to gain some of the prominent von Karsteins, as he called them, you have to take over certain regions. So I guess these would be imperial areas or Bretonnian kingdoms and stuff like that. And you'd gain access to these characters as playable. Now, this could mean the likes of Elise von Karstein. This could mean the likes of Cicatrix, the Wolf Lord, or the Lord of Wolfcrag. It has some huge implications. And this also may mean, we know for a fact that Marius Leitdorf is already in the game as the Elector Count of Averland. And Boris Todbringer's already in the game as the Elector Count of Middenland. So what this could actually mean is that if you're playing the Empire and you take over the entirety of Averland's province, then you get Marius Leitdorf as one of your generals. If you take over the full province of Middenland, you gain Boris Todbringer as one of your generals, which would be so awesome. Like, that would be so awesome. Or, you know, if you're playing Bretonnia, which we know will be playable, but they're not playable yet, you could go down and get Duke Gerard, or Duke Armand, or many of those really famous Bretonnian characters. If you're playing the Orcs, you could rampage over and beat up the I think it's the Red Eye, not the Red Eye tribe, maybe the Bloody Suns boys. And you could get Gorfang Rotgut as one of your war bosses. Or if you're playing the dwarves, maybe you could go take over Zufbar's province, and you could get the High King of Zufbar, who has his own book within the Dwarf Omnibus. That would be so incredible. That would be so amazing, and would be a huge plus lore-wise to the game, and would also be an awesome incentive to take over provinces if you're picking up powerful characters along the way. But, so yeah, this is, I'm going to try and keep this below 10 minutes. So that was some really exciting news. Unique currency and how it works for the vampire counts, building up necromantic power by building up your vampiric corruption, building up body count by owning cities where you generated large battlefields where I guess you pick up just a good number, because we know loot already exists in the game, because they showed that during the Azhag campaign trailer, which for Azhag was just money, and I think a magical item. So the thought that the vampire counts actually like are raising the corpses of the dead on their battlefields, I think is so awesome. Also, he did confirm for me that the lords for the vampire counts are vampire lords and master necromancers. Still not 100% sure who all the heroes are. From the images I've seen, I know banshees are in, I know necromancers are in, I know white kings are in. I'm not sure if vampires are a hero or not. 3 seems like it would be it, but I don't know, maybe they'll surprise us. But in any event, so yeah, if you haven't seen those images yet, I'll have them in the comment section below. Terrorgeist are confirmed, Cryptors are confirmed, Ethereal units are in, Karn Wraiths are confirmed, which Karn Wraiths are essentially like Grim Reapers that are ethereal that go across the battlefield murdering people. They're Hex Wraiths on foot, essentially. But yeah, so much exciting information. I don't think anyone else has really reported on this yet, and I guess it's because people either haven't translated it, or maybe this games journal isn't very popular outside of Germany. But in any event, I hope you guys enjoyed some of that exclusive information. Of course, I'll be back as often as I can as we get closer and closer to release with more information for you guys. Once again, those images and the German articles will be down in the description below. I believe they've been published publicly, so this isn't like a leak or anything. This is just, I happen to get there first. So post this around. Maybe we can, get some new people to come check out the channel and stuff. Love you guys. I'll have the final episode of the Chaos campaign for Battle March up tomorrow, and some more lore videos coming soon. Thanks so much. I went over 10 minutes. God damn it. Alright, you guys have a great day. Let me know. I'll be talking to you guys down in the description. Just let me know what you think about this, unique currency and all this news. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.